Okay, good morning. So we'll have a look at this question. So what you could be asked to do as well is you could be given data like this and you could be asked to draw a scatter diagram. So the first thing we want to do is we want to figure out, we're going to have an x-axis and a y-axis. So what we want to do is we want to figure out what are we going to put on the x-axis and what are we going to put on the y-axis. So, and if you remember, the x-axis is the horizontal axis, the one along the bottom. So what we can do is we can look at the data and we can say, for example, like height, we can let that be the x-axis, the one that's on the top. So we let this be the x data, and then weight then will be the y data, or the y-axis. So just if we remember, so you're going to have your x-axis is going to be along the bottom, and then your y-axis. So the horizontal line is your x-axis and the vertical line is your y-axis. So this is where you're going to put this data. Okay, so x-axis and y-axis. And the next thing you want to do then is we have to try and figure out what's the range. So what we mean by that is like what's the lowest value. So it's going to start from lowest to highest value, and the same on the y-axis. You're going to start from your lowest value and work up to your highest value. So you have to try and find out like what's the lowest value going to be. So if we have a look here at the x-axis, which is going to represent height. Okay, so we have to have a look at this and see like what is the lowest value that we have here. So we can see that we have 150 and okay, so 150. So what we can do is we can start 10 below that. So we can say that we'll start off at 140 and then we have to work our way up to the highest value. So let's say, so this is the lowest value, and then the highest value then is going to be 180, we can see here. So there's no other values there that are higher, so that's the highest value. So basically what we have to do is we have to work from 180 on the lowest up to, sorry, 140 on the lowest up to 180 on the highest, like so. So then if we do the same then for the y-axis, so if we think about the y-axis then, what have we got? So the lowest value that we have on the y-axis seems to be 57. So 57 here. So what we could do is we could start at, let's say 55 and work our way up to, what's the highest value? So we have 70 here, so we could work our way up to 70. So now we try and figure out the increments. What do we work up in? So if we think about, we could try, like generally, like just try 10 or try 5. So if we think about 40, we could start 40, 50, 60, and 80. So we could go up and we could increase in increments of 10. Okay, and then if we think about this from 55 up to 70, we could probably move an increase in increments of 5. So along here we're going to, so we have, how many spots do we have? So let's say, so 150. So if we go up in increments of 10, so we're going to have the first one, which is going to be 140. We're going to have the second one, which is 150. Then it's going to be 160, 170, and then the last one 180. Okay, so we have to divide up a section to account for each of these increments. And then if we think about this one here, so we're going to go 50, so we're going to have, let's say I'll just do it in here, so 55, 60, 65, 70. Okay, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 increments, and 1, 2, and 4 increments along the bottom as well. So this is going to go up in 10. So what we can do now is we can start to construct our graph. So I'm just going to use, we have a tool in here. Okay, so you just use your ruler and just draw out. So the first thing I'd do is I'd start off along the bottom and I'd say, so this first increment here, we'll do the x-axis. So this first increment here is going to be 140. So 140. And always label your axis as well, very important. So height, and the unit that we're using is centimeters. We can see here we have centimeters, so it's height in centimeters. And let's try and work this up in, so I would divide it up into 10. So let's say, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This will be your first increment here. So that's going to be 150. Okay, and then we'll work from there. 1, 2, 3. 10. So this is your second. That's going to be 160. This will be your third here. So that's going to be 170. Then all I'm doing is just counting the squares. So this is going to be 180. 180, okay, and that's as far as you need to go, let's say, on the x-axis to get in all of your values. So that's that side. So that's the x-axis. We can just write down an x down here. And then the y-axis, we're going to start off, your first increment is going to be 55. And maybe count up 10, and every 10 squares is an increment of, as we've said here, it's going to be an increment of 5. So we have, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's going to be 60. 1, 2. So this increment is going to be 70. Sorry, should I say 65? So 65. And then the last one's going to be 70. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's going to stop here. It's going to be 70. So 65 and 70. Also as well, always use graph paper when you're drawing graphs, and always use graph paper because it's the most accurate. It's the most accurate way to do it. So we just, again, we label our axis. So this is going to be weight in kgs. And we see here we get our weight. We get our weights from the table. So now what we have to do is we have to plot our x and y axis. So remember, so these here, height is going to be the x coordinate. So remember, in coordinate geometry, you have your x and you have your y. You have your y value. So if we take this first point here, so the x, so it's going to be 150 and 57. Yeah. So that's coming from this first set of coordinates here. So this is our x value here, and then this is our y value. So what we can do is we can start to plot these, and we can just plot them with an x. So the first one is x is 150, so you go along the bottom. So we stop here on the 150, and then we have to go up 57. So we have to go up 7 spaces. So 1, 2. Okay, so it's going to be roughly around here. That's our first point, and that's coming from these two guys here. So the second point then is 152 the x and 62 the y. So 152. So we're going to go, so that's 151. 152 is going to be roughly around here, and then we have to go up to 62. So we're going all the way right up to, so up here to, so that's 61 and 2, so it's going to be roughly here. So that's our second coordinate. The next one is 63. So the next one is 155. So again, 155 is, so this is 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155. It's going to be roughly here. And then we have to go to 63. So we're going all the way right up to 61, 62, 63. So it's going to be roughly here. So that's our second one. Then 158. It's 151, 6, 7, 8. It's going to be roughly here. 1, 2, 3. So 158 will be here on the x-axis. And then we have to go up to 64. So 64 is going to be 63, 60. It's going to be roughly here. Okay, so that's our second point. So it's that one. 158. So again, 158. So again, we're 158. We're on the same line, so it's just above this one. 158. Or so it's going to be below, so it's going to be 58. So it's going to be on this one here, but 58. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's going to be here. So that's that one. 160. So again, 160 starts here. 160 to 62. So again, we go up to 62. So that's, here's about 60. So 61, 62. So it's going to be about here. That's that one. Then we have, so 163. So again, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be roughly here. And then we have to go to 62. So 62, let's get rid of this. So 162. Where am I? So 163. So here's 163. And then you have to go up to 65. So 60 is about here. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is about here. Okay, so that's that one. 163, 165. Then 165, 66. So again, if we go along the bottom, so 5 is about here. And we go up to our x-axis. So 66 is going to be somewhere up here. So this is our, it's going to be, roughly speaking, it's going to be about here. So that's that one. Then we've 170. So 170 is here. So 170 and 65. So again 170, and then you're going to go 65, go across here. It's going to be about here. Then we have 175, so 1, 5, so roughly around here, and up to 70, so it's going to be roughly up here somewhere. So let's say about here. Then we have 178. So 1, 2, 3. So 178 is about here on the x-axis, and then 66. So it's going to be. So let's say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be about up here. So from here. It's going to be about here, let's say. So that's that one, and then the last one then is 180. So 180 is here on the x-axis, and then on the y-axis it has to be 16. It has to be 67. So it's going to be about here. Okay, so there's all your points. So we've plotted all the points, let's say, on this graph, and this gives us what's known as a scatter. So it gives us our graph, and then our scatter graph, and then what we can do is we can start interpreting this then as well. So draw the scatter graph and show the data. So that's what we've done here. So this is what you're going to get your marks for. Describe the strength and type of correlation between these heights and weights. So what's the type of correlation that we have? So we can see here, like if we were to draw a line through this, let's say from here to here, we can see that it's increasing. So the correlate, so we can say that it's definitely a positive correlation. Okay, now if it was a strong correlation, like all of the points would be exactly on the line. So let's say if we had points something like, if we were getting something like this. So imagine if we had something like this. The points are all like right on the line like that. That would be a strong positive correlation. But because the points are not on the line like that, so we're not getting the points on the line like that, then we're getting some of them are above the line, some of them are below, like we can see here. So see, there's a certain amount above and below this line. So what we can say then, the correlation, we would call it, so it's a weak. So it's a weak positive correlation. And it's a positive correlation because we have this straight line. It has a positive slope. And it's a weak positive because some of the points are above the line and some of the points are below the line. They're not all exactly on the line. So that's what we mean by like it's a weak positive correlation. Okay, so that's that one. So that's just like basically taking data that you could be given, for example, like this, and then constructing a scatter plot based on that, and then interpreting what's on the plot as well. So it's just important that you know like what we mean by correlation and the different types of correlation then that there are. So in this case we have, this is a positive, it's a weak positive. Okay, so hopefully that made sense, and thank you for listening.